Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All praises to the Most High, higher, for He is worthy to be praised. Hallelujah. Shalom, Mishpach. I'm back again with a message from the Most High, for I am one of His servants. And this message today is titled, Why Does It Feel Like I'm Being Tested or Put Through a Trial? Always remember, the battle belongs to the Most High. Mishpaka, when there are people around in the earth that have satanic spirits, they're deceivers, they're turncoats, the Most High has to put each one of His servants through a test or a trial to avoid disasters. Hasatan, when he was up in the Shamayim, proved to the Most High that he could simply not be trusted. So the Most High introduces situations into our lives to prove if we truly have allegiance unto Him, who is the Most High, or if we are merely being deceptive. Once we prove that our allegiance is to the Most High, we're able to be promoted and move up into the Most High for more blessings and more seniority. Hallelujah. I have a few examples of biblical figures that were tested, put through trials, and then given the all clear to receive their barakings, their blessings, and move up or be promoted in the Most High. Let's look first at our forefather Abraham and how the Most High puts him through a trial to determine whether he would be loyal or not. We're going to read from Genesis 22, 1 through 17. And it came to pass after these things that the Most High did put Abraham through a trial, and said unto him, Abraham. And Abraham said, Behold, here I am. And the Most High said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and took two of his young men with him, and Isaac, his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which the Most High had told him. Then on the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the donkey, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. So already we see that Abraham is demonstrating faith in the Most High, because he's telling the men that were with him that he and the lad are going to come back in just a little while. Verse 6, Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And Abraham said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, the Most High will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Again, Abraham is proving his faith by telling his son the Most High is going to provide the lamb. Verse 9, they came to the place which the Most High had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the Malachim of the Most High called unto him out of the Shamayim, or heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And Abraham said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest the Most High, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, And behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Yireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yah it shall be seen. And the Malachim of the Most High called unto Abraham out of the Shamayim the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Most High, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing or baraking I will barak thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the Shamayim, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. So we can see here that even after the Most High told Abraham to go and sacrifice his only son, Abraham had faith in the Most High the entire time. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. The test solidifies Abraham's faith in the Most High. The Most High is pleased with Abraham, and Abraham passed the test and received his the word of his baraking, hallelujah, or blessing. All right, next, let's look at our former King David during his youthful years. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We're reading from 1 Samuel 17. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shekah, which belonged to Yehudah, and pitched between Shekah and Azekah in Ephesdammim. And Shaul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Yasharal stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So he was extremely tall and big, larger than anybody else. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Yasharal, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? And am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Shaul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Yasharal this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Shaul and all of Yasharal heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David, the son of the Ephrathite of Bethlehem Yehudah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Shaul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Shaul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third is Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Shaul. But David went and returned from Shaul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp of thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Shaul and they and all the men of Yasharal were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him, his dad, and he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Yasharal and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Yasharal, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Yasharal said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Yasharal is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king, will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Yasharal. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Yasharal? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living Alahym? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride, and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Shaul, and he sent for him. And David said to Shaul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Shaul said to David, Thou art not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. So David's letting him know he ain't playing around. He has taken care of even more fierce situations in his past. Hallelujah. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living Alahym. David said, Moreover, the Most High that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine. And Shaul said unto David, Go, and the Most High be with thee. So we have to demonstrate this same manner of faith. Both Abraham and David are saying, even before the battle, that the Most High is going to be with them and bring them through the battle. So we have to be the same way. We have to show the same faith. Verse 38, And Shaul armed David with his armor, and put a helmet of brass upon his head, and also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Shaul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off of him. So he wasn't too comfortable with the armor that Shaul had put on him. David had his own tools that he wanted to use. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed Um, and then he took his staff in his hand. So he preferred the staff over that sword, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. Hallelujah. So he didn't need that sword. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him. So he felt like, this is nothing, for he was but a youth and ruddy. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. So those, he called out pagan names of pagan gods. And the Philistine said unto David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Most High of hosts, the Alahym of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. David is serious. Verse 46, This day will the Most High deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is an Alahym amongst the Israelites. Oh, hallelujah. And all this assembly shall know that the Most High saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Most High's, and he will give you into our hands. 48, It came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hastened and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. Hallelujah. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone and a smote. He smote that Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took the Philistine's sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and Yehudah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to the Sharaim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. Hallelujah. David, small statured man that he was victorious over that huge Philistine Goliath. David was a true man of faith. A true man of faith. If you remember, he even said to the Philistine before he killed him, he said, And all this assembly shall know that the Most High saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Most High's. And that was part of the title of this message, that the battle belongs to the Most High. And in addition to that, David was a true man of faith. Despite his small stature, he believed that the Most High would give him the victory. He was faithful in the workings of the Most High. Hallelujah. He trusted the Most High even more after he was faithful and victorious. And the Most High was pleased with David. David passed several tests. Hallelujah. And so we know that he definitely was baraked by the Most High and was promoted by the Most High. Hallelujah. So the next example is about Ruth the Moabite, and Naomi, her mother-in-law. All right, I'm going to refer to the book of Ruth, chapters 1 through 4. Naomi's husband died. She had 2 sons. Her 2 sons married the women Orpha and Ruth. The sons then died. Naomi began to go back to her land, and her daughters-in-law were following her. She told them not to follow her. Orpha turned around to head back to Moab. However, Ruth told Naomi that she would cleave to her and follow her Alahym, the Alahym of the Israelites. Naomi returned to Bethlehem, and Ruth followed her. This was a test that the Most High gave Ruth. By following her mother-in-law to accompany her, Ruth passed the test that the Most High had given her. And in Ruth chapter 2, verse 12, the Most High indicates that he's going to reward Ruth. Once she arrives to Bethlehem and goes to pick up ears of corn for them to eat, she meets up with Boaz. Boaz became that of a kinsman redeemer, which was customary among ancient Israelites to take on the widow of your kin as a wife. So now Ruth was given to Boaz in marriage. So a woman prophesied unto Naomi, telling her that Boaz would be unto them a restorer of thy life and a nourisher of thine own age, thy old age. So Boaz not only was a baracking unto Ruth, but she was also a baracking unto Naomi. He worked to restore Naomi of her old age. So Ruth conceived, and the baby that was born was called Obed, who was the father of Jesse, who was the father of David, of which we know is the same bloodline of the Messiah, Yasha. Hallelujah. And I refer to the Messiah as Yasha, meaning Yah's salvation. Hallelujah. We know that his name could not be what the world calls him. The world refers to him as Jesus, but there was not a J 2,000 years ago in the Hebrew language. And both Mary and Joseph, who are the parents of the Messiah, they were both Hebrew Israelites. So they certainly would not have called him what is not customary and part of their culture. All right, so we refer to him as Yasha, Yah's salvation. So we see that Ruth humbled herself to follow her mother-in-law. That is uncommon today. Younger people very rarely follow an older woman. So Ruth's humility demonstrated faith in her mother-in-law, but also faith in her mother-in-law's Alahym, the Most High Ahia of the Israelites. And it proved to be a baracking or a blessing to Ruth. She passed the test without knowing that she was being tested. Hallelujah. So the final example that I have chosen to discuss is about Deborah and Barak. And I'm going to refer to Judges chapters 4 through 5. The children of Israel, the Israelites, sinned against the Most High again. They had practiced sinful ways numerous times, and this time the Most High sold them into the hands of Jabin, the king of Canaan. He was after that, a judge amongst the Israelites, Deborah, went and sought Barak, the son of Abinoam. She asked if the Most High had commanded him to take the Israelite troops toward Mount Tabor for battle with Jabin. All right, because the Israelites had been crying out to the Most High for help. And so he had helped them on numerous other occasions when they disobeyed him, served pagan gods. He sent them into captivity. They cried out and he helped them. This happened numerous times. So this is just one of the times that he sought to get them out of captivity. And he inquired of Deborah to assist. So Barak listened to Deborah and said, "If you will go with me into battle, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go." So Deborah stated to him she would draw Jabin and his army into Barak's hands. This turns into a test not only for Barak, but Barak brings Deborah into the test as well. Deborah proclaims that the honor for the victory shall be with the hands of a woman. Barak and his 10,000 men went down from Mount Tabor at the direction of Deborah, who was acting by way of divine prophecy, and she said to Barak, "Up, for this is the day in which the Most High hath delivered Sisera, Canaan's military captain, into thine hand. Is not the Most High gone out before thee?" Hallelujah. The Most High then discomfited or put to shame Sisera, his chariots, his troops, with the edge of the sword on behalf of Barak's troops. Sisera got off of his chariot and ran away on foot. There weren't any more of Sisera's men left. Sisera ran to the tent of a woman named Jael, who he believed he could trust. Instead, after Sisera laid down and fell asleep, Jael took a tent nail and a hammer and smote the nail into Sisera's temple and fastened it into the ground. Sisera died. The Most High subdued Jabin the king of Canaan before the children of Israel that day. The Israelites prospered and prevailed against Jabin until he was destroyed. Hallelujah. Deborah and Barak sang praises to the Most High for avenging the Israelites. Although Jabin and Sisera had 900 chariots of iron, Barak and Deborah trusted and had faith in the Most High. They passed the test and were victorious. Hallelujah. From all the examples we discussed, each person's faith strengthened. They put their natural with the Most High's super and overcame the test to accomplish great feats. Abraham received a huge baraking from the Most High, wherein he was told that his seed would be multiplied and possess the gates of his enemies. David was promoted by Shaul and was placed as a captain over the men of war. Women even sang songs about David, and eventually he became Israelites' next king. Ruth wed Boaz, her kinsman redeemer. Her and Naomi were betrothed. Barak and Deborah were victorious over their enemies, and the Israelites experienced peace for 40 years. Your test, when you pass it, makes you great. Psalms 18:39 says, "For you equip me with strength for the battle. You made those who rise against me sink under me." Psalm 144:1 says, "Barak be the Most High, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle." Hallelujah. Mishpaka, let's pray. Abba Most High, we praise your mighty name and honor you. Abba, you're awesome, and we adore you. Oh, Abba, we ask that you forgive us of any sins that we may have committed through acts of omission or commission. Oh, Abba, great Abba in the sky, grant us the ability to have faith in you through all tests and trials that come our way. We rebuke the spirit of fear, of which we know comes from the enemy. You, Abba, are the rock of the Israelites, and we will forever trust you and praise your name. It is in the mighty name of Yasha, HaMashiach, that we declare and decree all of these things. Hallelujah. So, Mishpaka, we will not fear or dread tests and trials, but we will face them head on, knowing that with the Most High on our side, we will get the victory and move up higher in the Most High. Mishpaka, until next time, shalom, shalom.